As I was sitting there with the blood pouring out of my hands and the tears rolling down my face, I was just wondering, where did I go wrong? Like, am I a fool? Don't answer that until you've watched this video. Thank you. Basically, yesterday was one of the toughest days I've had in a year. Very soon it'll be a whole year since I got my master's degree, and I cannot say that life has looked any way like I thought it would. And this video isn't long. I'm actually only posting it because I made a commitment to post once a month minimum at the end of the month, and that's literally the only reason why I'm here. Take two. So that video was a little bit depressing because I recorded it when I was down, but now I'm up. So we are redoing it. You know, Proverbs 15:15 says, every day is terrible for a miserable person, but a cheerful heart is always feasting, okay? And I was miserable the day I made that video. But now I'm more cheerful, as you can see. So yeah, I am back again to talk about what I was talking about, but from a different perspective. So sometimes we have hard moments, sometimes we have hard days, and I absolutely believe that we should take time to feel those feelings, but we should not make statements from those feelings or decisions from those feelings. And that video that I made, I was absolutely making some statements from those feelings, but I digress. Now I have filled that empty cup with the things that are eternal, not with the moments that are fleeting. And remember, that's the difference between happiness and joy, right? Happiness is based on what happens, based on the moments, and joy is a state of existence, a state of being. So I was switching between those two. Thank you for your patience. Now that I've regulated my emotions, I've come to the realization that I recently went on a fast with my Bible study. Shout out to the Oasis once again. And the most guaranteed thing to happen after a fast, it's not the blessings, it's not the clarity, it's not the answers, it's actually a test. So I think that day that I was having, that was a test, and I didn't realize it until recently. And it reminded me of the study I did on hope, because there was a day I was feeling so down on my faith and my hope and everything. And I was like, what even is hope? So I realized through the study that hope is synonymous with the cord that the spies used to escape from Rahab's house to go back to Joshua, right? So hope is synonymous with a lifeline. When you don't have hope, you're drowning. When you're holding on to hope, you are still hoping. When you're holding on to hope, there is still the possibility of regaining life, regaining joy, and all these things. Once you let go of hope, you're gonna drown. When I was actually crying and going through, like, I'm healed now, but there's still some dried blood. When I was going through that experience that legally I cannot fully tell you about, I was like, God, am I actually a fool for obeying? Did I really hear you? How do I know? And like, that's part of why I've stopped saying God said. I know I've said have hope like so many different times, but what does that look like practically? For me, there are like maybe 3 things I can do to get hope back or remember hope. Of course, there is prayer, worship, praise, all of that, absolutely. But I count that as one. Reading the word, praying, worshiping, and praise, that is one way to restore your hope for me. But another thing is writing a gratitude list. Writing down everything good that happens in the day, something I'm grateful for, like the bus driver did not leave, or somebody gave me a free coupon, like little things like that that make me feel like, okay, I've had a bad moment, not a bad week. Like, I'm quick to say, it's been a terrible week. It was just one thing that really upset me. Yes, the thing was big, but like the rest of the week was still fine. You know what I'm saying? And it reminds me of the Shunammite woman. Her son was literally dead in a room, but her husband was reaping in the farm. She didn't allow the dead son to stop the reaping going on outside. Like, when I heard Dr. Anita Phillips say that, I was like, yeah, because one thing could be going quite terrible in life, but you shouldn't let that affect the whole of your life. Like, okay, I had a bad encounter last week. that doesn't mean that I'm not about to go out tonight and have the best time ever. Like, I'm not gonna let that ruin that. You know what I'm saying? So that's essentially what that was about. And another thing I do is go and be amongst nature. I remind myself of how all of these things were here before me. Literally, the world existed before I existed. So I remind myself that if the trees can have hope of growing again when they're cut down, then I should also have hope of getting up when I'm down, you know, things like that. So I like to go out and be amongst nature. I also like to move my body. And you're like, what does movement have to do with hope? It releases endorphins. And sometimes when you have those endorphins, you're like, you know what? I'm actually grateful that I have a body that I can move ably on my own. And I'm grateful that I have people that I can dance with or attend a free salsa class with. And don't say, oh, it's because you're in America. There's free salsa classes in Lagos, Nigeria. There's free salsa classes in London, England. There's free salsa classes in Sydney, Australia. There are free classes everywhere. You just have to look for it and possibly not be afraid to go alone. Yeah. Let's call this a bonus. Essentially, sometimes when you do things for others, you begin to have hope restored for yourself. Like the first time hope was mentioned in the Bible was with those spies, but the second time was in Ruth with Naomi, and how she was saying she was actually lacking hope because God had frowned upon her because she lost her husband and her kids. That was drastic, right? But she still did good things for her daughter-in-law, Ruth. And in doing good for Ruth, her hope was restored. You see that cycle? Essentially, doing things for others that restores hope to them, or being good and kind and sharing with others and volunteering your time, your resources for other people can restore hope back to you. Emphasis on can. And yeah, I just want to encourage you to do that also, because when I was looking through the Bible for how to encourage myself, every single scripture I saw was encourage others in this way. Encourage others by, encourage others.
God, Abeg. God, Abeg.
You will never see that other video. Let me just quell any curiosity. Quench. Shut it down, Sha. Any curiosity anybody had on what I said in the other video, don't even worry about it. God bless you. I hope this has helped you in some way, lifted your mood in one way. I hope I wasn't just making noise, because I'm making noise. Love and light. Remember to comment and like. I'll see you guys next one. Mwah.